Hello and welcome to Poets Corner at the Henry Beaufort School,
where we are joined by Adisa,
also known as the Verbalizer. Who inspired you to be a performing poet and why?
It wasn't a particular person, it was music. I came to poetry through music. My father was a musician. He played the mandolin and he played the steel pan. And he played music throughout the house. Not only his music, but music that inspired him. And the music that I got into was reggae music, old school reggae music. And I got into people like Third World, a reggae group called Third World, and a band everyone knows, Bob Marley and the Wailers. And I liked them because of their lyrics. I liked looking at the old album covers. And I know you young people don't know what albums are, because all you know about is CDs. But album covers and looking at the lyrics. And I would study the lyrics, that I found them fascinating. So it was the music of musicians that I thought were poets in their own right that got me into it. I thought, I want to do that. Not necessarily with the music, but I want to be clever with my language. I want to tell stories of language. I want to use, imagery of my language. It was music that got me into it. Yeah.
What was your first poem and what was it about?
First poem was about my mother, but it was like a duality, because about my mother who gave birth to me and the mother continent where I'm from. So like my ancestry goes back to Africa. It goes from the Caribbean to Africa. As a child, I knew very little about African history. In fact, I knew very little about Caribbean history. But as an adult, a young adult, I started to research it, and I was fascinated by what I found out. So the poem was exploring the fact that I always loved my physical mother, but I didn't love where I was coming from, which was the continent of Africa. Because the images I'd seen of Africa were always negative on TV. Whereas when I found out more about the history and what the accomplishments and the achievements of Africa, it changed my viewpoint on it. So it was a poem that talks about the love of my mother, but the kind of fight, the internal fight that I had with accepting where I was coming from. So I would say I'm just Caribbean or I'm British Caribbean. I would never mention Africa in describing myself until I learned more about Africa. So that poem was looking at mother, physical mother and a geographical mother. Yeah.
What was your most successful performance and why?
That's a good question. Most successful performance. Well, years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I used to work with a band. And we used to do this thing called verbalism, hence I'm the Verbalizer. We like that. And we used to do gigs up and down the country. And I think one of the most great gigs was playing at the Jazz Cafe. Jazz Cafe is a really, really cool cafe that plays jazz music in central London. And lots of famous jazz artists have performed there over the years. And I got to do a show there with an American R&B singer called John B. And that was a great achievement.
Where do you get your inspiration from when writing poetry?
There's a shop on the corner of my street called the Inspiration Shop, and I buy it from the shop every night. No, seriously, inspiration. To be a writer, you have to be a person who likes to observe, to be amongst people but not be amongst people. So to be in a crowd and be not in the crowd. So that means you're there but you're observing what's going on around you. I think you need to have that, and I like doing that. I like putting myself and just people watch. I like sitting on the tube and accidentally hearing conversations people are talking about and think, that's a good idea. I remember once on the train, a little girl said to her mum, she said, Mum, do all fairies have long fingers? And I thought, that's a peculiar thing to say to your mum. And I remembered the line, and one day I'll use that line. So I collect things, I collect ideas, I collect images, and I make notes of them, whether in my book or on my phone, and when I've got time I go back and I turn it into a poem. So, yeah.
What's your favourite poem and why?
Favourite poem of all time, not by me, just my favourite poem.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's a big one. There are many. Let's start with the females. Yeah. Maya Angelou, she's no longer with us, but an African-American poet. She wrote a poem called Still I Rise, which is a really profound poem, talking about the experience of African-Americans through slavery in America. But it doesn't just stop there. It's about being held down and knowing that no matter what someone tries to do to hold you down, you will still rise. And she's like dust I rise, still I rise. It's a triumphant poem. So there's that. I like a poem by a lady called Caroline Duffy called Valentine. I like it a lot. It's really, really clever about love and Valentine, what it really means to her. There's another poet called Linton Kwesi Johnson, who's a dub poet, and he applies his poetry to reggae music. He actually doesn't sing it, but he talks it over reggae music, and I like his poetry. He's got a poem called Sonny's Letter. It's a very old poem, but it's about a young man who gets arrested for no reason, and he tries to fight back. And the police take him and they send him to prison, and he gets found guilty of a crime he didn't commit. And he writes a letter, and that's what the poem's about, to his mother, Sonny's Letter. And he said, he promised his mother, I'll come to this country, I'm never going to get in any trouble, I promise not to get in any trouble. But he found himself in prison for a crime he didn't really intend to commit. So it's his most famous poem. It's called Sonny's Letter. It's a beautiful piece. Yeah.
Have you ever won any awards from your poems?
Awards, yes. In 1994, probably before you were on the planet, I won the New Performance Poet of the Year award. I came joint first. I never mentioned the person I came joint with. I just came first. Yeah. But yeah, in 1994. And in 2000, I think I was the Poet Laureate for Hackney. Not for the country, just for Hackney, a borough in London. Yeah.
Who is the most famous person you have met / performed for?
Prince Charles. I was at a farm, as you do, reading some poetry to the animals and some primary school children, and he said, Prince Charles is going to make a royal visit. So I said, okay, great. And I wasn't supposed to meet him, but they thought, that poetry guy, they saw me in rehearsal, he's quite interesting. So they arranged for me to meet him, walk with him around the park, and at the right moment, I was assigned the task of giving Prince Charles the potato. Yes, it's true. And so I had this potato in my pocket, and I had to say, here you are. And he took the potato, and he pretends to plant it. Well, he plants it, and then the newspaper takes a shot of him doing something good at the farm. So yeah, Prince Charles. Yeah.
Why did you first become a poet?
It's funny because people say, why do you sing? Why do you dance? Why? You just do these things. Like, why does a dancer dance? Why does a singer sing? You just feel like you want to sing. So from a very young age, I've liked language. I would watch the newsreaders like Trevor McDonald when I was young. I was fascinated by his command of the English language. He spoke so well, the language he used. And so I've been fascinated from language for a long time. So that was always there. The performance side of it came quite later because I was quite a shy child. So it took me a while. Even when I first started performing, I was so nervous of the audience that my leg would shake. And I was so worried that the audience could see my leg shaking, but they couldn't, but I thought they could. So the love of words is where it began. And yeah, I watch the news and find it really interesting. Yeah.
When writing a poem, what is your writing process? Do you follow a regular routine?
A regular routine for writing poetry. Whenever I've got time, I write. So I spend a lot of my time travelling around the country, sometimes abroad, doing workshops in schools and performances in schools. So I don't have a set day. Whenever I'm not working, I'll try to set aside an hour or 2 hours to write. I'm not one of those writers who gets an idea, great idea, and just writes the poem. I get ideas and I make notes. That's how I work. I make notes, mental notes. Sometimes I hold it in my head, digital notes, physical notes. And then when I've got time, 2 hours, I literally get my notepad out, whatever it is, or recall it in my mind, and I write the poem. So I kind of write to order. I don't need to sort of think, oh, great idea now, and just write the whole thing. Once I've got the ideas, I can write the poem. Yeah. So it's quite sterile for me like that. It's not like inspired, here comes the poem. Not like that. Yeah.
Do you suffer from writer's block? If so, what do you do about it?
The dreaded writer's block. I think writer's block is good for all writers because it forces you to think again, to rethink what you've done before and what you'd like to do. So if you didn't suffer from writer's block, I don't think you'd be a writer. So I think it's good for you. It's like boredom. I think boredom is good for young people to be bored because out of that boredom, there's some sort of creativity should spring out of it and not fill it with something really boring outside of it. There you go, boring. Not fill it with something outside of yourself, but to go inside yourself and find some creativity. So I think boredom's good, and I think writer's block is good because it forces you to think again. Yeah. And I do suffer from it, and I like suffering from it.
Do you have any information or advice for anyone that wants to become a poet?
Yeah, don't do it, there's no money. No, I'm joking. Cut! No, my advice would be to read. Yeah, read other poets, different cultures. Read lots and lots. The more you read, the more you increase your vocabulary, the more you expose yourself to different techniques of writing. My advice would also be to write. That sounds very obvious, but to write daily if you can. First thing in the morning, late at night, just write something. Not everything you write will be useful, but inside that you can use something to build on. So the concept of you're a writer, then you should write. Find time to write. Plot it in your day. Morning, nighttime, find time to write. Yeah, and enjoy it.
There you are, an insight into life as a poet.
Perhaps you might inspire to give it a go.
Thank you for watching.